The Earth is covered by a dome. The dome is fact. It's not fiction. It's super supreme. In the 1950s, everybody knew this. Before the Antarctica Treaty, 4 United States planes flew from New Zealand to McMurdo Sound on December 20th, 1955, 4 years before the Antarctica Treaty negotiations, and made exploratory flights over unknown parts of the continent, which by now we know that Antarctica is not the continent on the globe spinning in space or on the Gleason map, but it's as per the moon vibes of cosmos. And they made these exploratory flights until January 18th, 1956, when they returned to New Zealand. These flights proved the inland areas to be featureless in character, with a dome 13,000 feet high at about latitude 80 degrees south, longitude 90 degrees east. So towards the east-southeast, which would be, depending on how you see the world, but it could be what is south from South America. In this case, because of southeast, but it could be something else as well. Nobody, as a civilian common mortal, goes this far south and this far east. Now, as we all know, this is not the reality of the real world, but it's good to understand what's close to it. Vibes of Cosmos explains it a lot better, but as per the simplicity of explaining things, at the edges of what would be latitude 80 degrees south, the height of the dome, and of course the calculations as per the central point from the North Pole, the highest point. The dome is electromagnetic in nature, and it's important to understand that this is not just your typical fantasy blah blah Mr. Nobody conspiracy in your corner. This is history, fact, science, and world stuff. Antarctica. So remember, in the Encyclopedias Americanas, it was in the 1950s, 4 years after the explorations, the Antarctica Treaty was being negotiated in 1959. 2 years were the negotiations, and in 1961, Antarctica Treaty enforced by military force in the world. This is not fiction. This is historical fact and military geopolitics. 1959, 1961. Exactly what happened in 1960s when NASA was created. Just after the Antarctica Treaty, NASA was created, and the Apollo mission of NASA was in 1969, 10 years after the negotiations of the Antarctica Treaty. What happened between 1959, when the Antarctica Treaty was being negotiated, and 1969, when the Apollo mission to fake the moon was created? This happened. Operation Fishbowl and Operation Dominic was part of Operation Fishbowl. Why does it call it Operation Fishbowl? Just like a dome upside down, Operation Fishbowl. And part of Operation Fishbowl was, this was in 1961, 1962. Exactly after the Antarctica Treaty was enforced. After they found the dome, they went to Antarctica and said, hey, we cannot go outside. It's impossible. So what do? Let's blow it up. Let's boom. And this is Operation Dominic, which means that they, and everybody knows that it's public information, they launched nuclear bombs in the sky because they saw that it's impossible to go to the edges, to exit through the edges. So they say, okay, well, we calculate the dome, the height, let's blow it up. And then they sent the bombs and they did boom, and nothing happened. And the bombs the bombs got destroyed in the atmosphere. So that's when they realized, hey, it is impossible to escape. It is impossible to blow it up. So this was in the 1962, 1963. So what happened? 5-6 years later, they came with the moon mission, Apollo mission. And let's not forget, that was, so you see the chronology of things. Everything explains the reality of the real world. People then go, oh, you're just a conspiracy theorist of flat earth. No, because you're ignorant. You can't just go through life being an ignorant. You have to accept military geopolitics and the reality of the real world and history and geography. And what happened with Wernher von Braun? And by the way, he was German, but he was not one of the Germans that went to the other side. Do you get my point? Wernher von Braun, important by NASA and Apollo 13, he died after the Apollo mission, and he was part of all the stuff that happened with Antarctica Treaty, Operation Fishbowl, Operation Dominic, even Operation High Jump. And on his tomb, he has Psalms chapter 19, verse 1, stating the super supreme. The heavens declare the glory of God, the Creator Almighty. We still have to understand if that God refers to the Supreme Creator, to Anu, or to Enlil, or to Enki, or to anybody else. We don't know. And the firmament sheweth his handiwork, the firmament. The firmament, we are enclosed for a guy like Wernher von Braun. And then people say, oh, you're just a conspiracy. Look at this. Can you actually get to the height of Wernher von Braun? This guy was super important in military and geopolitics. So this is it. And he was German. So anyway, and then of course we have Nikola Tesla, who he said exactly the same thing. Electromagnetic force, not gravity. Dome. And he said obviously the knowledge of Nikola Tesla was limited. He didn't reach the same knowledge of vibes of cosmos, but he said the same stuff as per the moon map vibes of cosmos. And Nikola Tesla, we're going to read that. I love this picture just for the purpose of good versus evil. So what did Nikola Tesla say? Earth is a realm. It is not a planet. Super supreme, impact in your face. It is not an object, therefore it has no edge. Earth would be more easily defined as a system environment. Super supreme, those two words, system environment. Earth is also a machine. It is a Tesla coil, so that we understand how it works. Earth is also, the sun and moon are powered wirelessly with the electromagnetic field, the ether. Now, before understanding Vibes of Cosmos books and the moon map, I didn't understand what he meant by the sun and moon are powered wirelessly with the electromagnetic field, the ether. Afterwards, I read Vibes of Cosmos and then boom! I say, man, Nikola Tesla, super supreme. This field, so the electromagnetic levitation, look at this, electromagnetic levitation disproves gravity. Simple primary school knowledge. Electromagnetic levitation disproves gravity. We have density, not gravity. We have density and electromagnetic levitation, because the only force you need to counter is the electromagnetic force. Therefore, when objects fall because of their density, and density, the big majority of objects have a density higher than the air. In order to counter the natural law of density, the only thing you need is the levitation of the electromagnetic force. Period. The stars are attached to the firmament. I didn't understand this. Then I read the books of Vibes of Cosmos. Boom! So, what I'm trying to say here is that the dome is not a secret. The dome was military geopolitics in the 1950s. Of course, how many people knew about this in an age, in a time where there was no TV, there was no internet, radio was the only thing, and newspapers, limited information in the 1950s. My parents were born in the 1960s. So we are speaking of ancient times according to our lives. And the dome is not something, oh, the dome, you're a conspiracy. No, it's military geopolitics. They tried to exit, they couldn't. Then they tried to blow it up, they couldn't. So then they created the Antarctica Treaty. You have to look at the chronology of things. After World War II, Operation High Jump. They lost the battle against you know who. In 1946-47. Then afterwards they tried, okay, let's keep on exploring. In the 1950s, they actually launched a hydrogen bomb in 1959, if I'm mistaken, 1957-59. Then they say, okay, it's impossible. Let's do the Antarctica Treaty, 1959. Then let's try and blow it up in 1960s. Impossible. Okay, let's fake the moon to create all this mumbo jumbo in the jungle, and that's where we came along after the 1960s, 70s, today, with so much ignorance in our corners. Now, once you see how people say, oh, everything is hidden. It's not hidden. It's public information. Everything is public, and everything is military geopolitics, and it's geography and history. So it's so awesome when we understand. Even if you don't care about these things like on paper or like this stuff, you should care about Antarctica Treaty and Operation Fishbowl and Dominic. It is mighty amazing. And if you go against all this, not you, but the people who challenge you, they don't even deserve to be to waste your time talking to them, because it's useless. I mean, once you say, okay, you don't want to accept what's written in the text and stuff, no problem. How about military geopolitics? And say, oh no, that's conspiracy. Okay, so you go against what happened in the 1950s and 1960s by the US military and by the world military. Bam!